Like how the Dragonborn can learn words of power, you too can learn a language in the world of Skyrim. Skyrim may be the best non-educational video game to use for language learning. Its appeal to a wide audience, that even your grandma may have played it, proves that Skyrim is accessible to many people. Additionally, the expansive world filled with many interactions creates a captivating environment needed for immersion-based language learning.
¿Qué pasa ahora, madre?
Era tan grande como una montaña y negro como la noche. Se fue volando por el túmulo.
¿Ahora dragones? Por favor, madre, si sigues con eso, todos en esta ciudad pensarán que estás loca. Y tengo mejores cosas que hacer que escuchar tus fantasías.
That accessibility and immersion makes it a prime candidate to discuss how well Skyrim can be used as a tool for someone learning a foreign language. Without further delay, let's take a look at Skyrim's educational potential. To start off, you will need to change the settings to your target language before launching the game by right-clicking Skyrim and selecting Properties, then click on Languages. It will then download the new dialogue and text. On consoles, you will need to change the language settings of the console for the game to switch. One thing to note is that you can't use previous saves from a different language, so you'll have to create a new character. Right off the bat, the voice acting doesn't sound like it matches the characters, yet this may be because of how I'm used to the English version.
No me puedes asustar para obligarme. Vamos. Nunca debería haber venido aquí.
This also led to a problem. It's difficult to follow along to what the characters are saying unless you're at or near fluent or you've practiced a lot of listening. If you're accustomed to mainly using books and flashcards to learn, you may not have this type of skill, despite knowing much about your target language. It's definitely not beginner friendly in this regard, but it'll prove fruitful if you continue to habitually learn by listening. Since I'm not at that proficiency yet, I had to use subtitles, which some will argue that it's a crutch, and I have to agree. You'll be more focused on reading than listening to the dialogue. However, I will say it's better to use it than to feel lost and lose motivation. You may even learn a word or two with the subtitles by connecting the text to what's happening on the screen. Luckily, Skyrim has a casual narrative, so you aren't screwed if you can't figure out what a dialogue option means. There's also the quest marker you can rely on too. Yet, you might get lost in what you need to do for a quest, which is good. It forces you to interact and analyze the language to figure out what to do, either from context, visual clues, or intuition. The same can be said about finding out the details of an item. This game offers constant interaction with the language, even during combat where you have to switch equipment, use an item, or just seeing the enemy's name or pop-ups from the status effects. You may also learn some verbs from going through the options, quest, and inventory menus, as well as the tutorial messages and action prompts. In addition, Skyrim gives a nice way of seeing how lines are changed in translation, with the biggest being Dragonborn altered to Sangre de Dragon in the Spanish version. A cool fact to know is that the dragons have different voice acting too. And like in a true Bethesda fashion, it seems that the voice actors are reused for different characters. All that has been discussed so far proves that Skyrim works tremendously as a language learning tool, and we haven't even started to talk about the vocabulary. Despite the fantasy setting, you can learn a lot of vocab on various real-life things like furniture, foods, tools, names of places like mines, or miscellaneous things like bear claws, materials, magic, and many more. And of course, there are plenty of fantasy vocab to learn so you can make some new friends in other languages with similar hobbies related to fantasy. If you ever get tired of exploring in combat, Skyrim contains many different books to learn about its lore while practicing your reading skills. One can see that Skyrim offers a vast amount of opportunities to train your listening and reading skills, in addition to learning new vocab of a wide range of items. I also noticed while playing the game that it put me in the mindset of thinking in Spanish. However, I have to warn that Skyrim's immersion will not work if you're not willing to put in the effort to actively learn. If you only go through the motions and skip dialogue, then you will not learn effectively. Skyrim is a supplement and not a replacement for studying a language. It's like protein powder. It'll help you build muscle, but you need to do the work to trigger that growth. Now on to the vast ocean of mods for Skyrim. With them, it seems as if there's a near unlimited amount of opportunity to learn new words and to continue practicing your target language. Unfortunately, there may not be much of any mods that are made in that language depending on what you're studying. If you want voice acting and text in what you're learning, then you'll need to find a mod in that language, or else you'll end up with a weird mix of a game being set in a foreign tongue while the mod is in English. It can lead to some weird jarring cuts.
Tengo algo que... Vamos a ver.
A letter. Not sure who from. Creepy fella. Couldn't see his face. Paid me a pretty sum to get that into your hands, though.
Parece que ya está. Tengo que irme.
No sé qué hace allí arriba, pero no pienso quedarme para averiguarlo.
The consequence is that it breaks immersion, which may hinder your learning, but luckily there are a bunch of translations for popular mods on Nexus Mods. However, if you're studying a niche language, you're at the mercy of how popular translating to your language is. Some will find it easy, such as those who are studying Spanish, and others will find little to none at all, like Arabic or Japanese. Woefully, mods are not going to be that useful without the translation for it. If you're looking for something similar in terms of immersion, such as Skyrim, but with much more historical and real-life setting, play Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I only recommend it to the advanced since dialogue is more focused and denser. Additionally, some quests do not give a marker to rely on, which leaves you figuring out what to do from solely the clues that the game gives you. Overall, the game is less forgiving than Skyrim, but I would recommend it if you desire more of a challenge. If Tom Howard ever sees this video, expect a Skyrim Educational Edition releasing on all platforms in the near future. That's all for this one. I hope that I taught you something today, and best of luck on your path towards fluency. Hasta la vista, baby.
Y esta es, amigos, la fea verdad. Somos hijos del hombre. Talos